Yo, stuff is getting expensive. Or it has been for the past year and a half. Let's talk about it.
This is why I feel like the cost of living has never been as bad as it is right now. Because it used to be when the cost of living was high, it was for the things that you need in life. Food, gas, shelter, etc. All those things cost a lot of money. Right now, all of those things still cost a lot of money. And also, I feel like it's just expensive to just be alive. Like, I feel like my life as soon as I wake up is literally just me putting down a credit card and it's just a tab. And life is a bartender. And it's just like, what are you gonna have? And I'm just like, I'm okay. I don't really need anything today. And it's just like, oh really? Well, if you're gonna be here, you're gonna need to spend money. And I'm just like, what do you mean here? I'm just in the world. And it's just like, yeah, you have to buy something now. It's even getting to the point where like I feel like even my thoughts are getting expensive. You know? Like I could just have the thought of like, my nose is a little stuffy. And then all of a sudden, I open up my phone 10 minutes later and have 12 ads for like, oh, you have a pollen allergy and you got to buy these anti-pollen allergy pills or you're going to suffocate in your sleep. Sleep is the only place I still feel kind of safe. But even there, it's like I could have sleep problems for one night and then I wake up feeling kind of groggy and all of a sudden I'm getting targeted ads for melatonin gummies. It's like all of our necessities.
I was going to say, no, son. Even sleep costs money now. Just had to go buy my daughter a mattress. Mattresses. Have you gone mattress shopping in a while? Jiminy Christmas. Mattresses are expensive. And we were trying to like stay cheap. And also, oh my God, not even drinking a beer today. We literally have spent so much money. God, I hope this isn't a disaster we did, but we bought this house recently. Now I knew when I bought the house that we were going to have a lot of upfront costs. We sold off a lot of our stuff when we moved from Florida. And let's just say every single day, money going out. $100 here, $300 here, $1,300 here, every day. I'm ready for it to calm down. I remember like 2018, 19, when I first started this channel, no spend weeks, like a week where you don't spend $1. Could you imagine doing that now in today's age? Couldn't happen. No way. I couldn't make it. I'd have to spend at least something. You have to. Shit's expensive.
Are still expensive. And then also just every increment of our life costs something.
She is not the only millennial doing this.
Move to a secondary city. Do it now. I lived in LA and I lived in New York for 10 years. It was great. It did what it needed to do for my hustle and my grind. When you hit 30, move to a secondary city. Literally do it. You'll save money. You'll have a more comfortable lifestyle. Your body will thank you because like we're getting up there. We need a little bit more space, a little bit more air to breathe, some trees. Look into secondary cities, people.
Am I the only one who wants...
Yes. Yo, shout out to the Midwest. I just moved from Florida back home to Missouri. And one of those reasons is because Missouri is a hell of a lot cheaper than Florida. Hell of a lot cheaper. The main reason we moved back here is to get close to family, but don't get me wrong, the financial choice also had a big play in that as well. So I'm a big believer in secondary cities. I've talked about it in multiple videos, and I've said to everyone who lives in an expensive area, which we're seeing a lot of, California, New York, Oregon, a lot of the East and West Coast people, there's been a lot of people moving to this area in the Midwest. And I think that's because people are seeing what it has to offer. Like, the Midwest ain't that bad. 4 seasons, great people. Overall, like, you can't beat Midwest people. There's just something about them. Like, I've traveled all around the United States, and every time I come, even, I'm gonna say it, even compared to, like, Southern hospitality, there's something about Midwest lifestyle that I love. Now, I was born and raised in the Midwest, that's probably why. But it just, man, the people are so nice. Secondary cities, guys, where it's at. If you can't afford where you live, try something new. Or go back to home, live with mom and dad. I don't know.
the only one who wants to just quit my job?
Yo, real quick before we watch this, I have been in this guy's shoes. I remember driving to work every day and just, okay, let's watch it and then I'll explain.
Maybe buy a minivan or buy an old car and just hop in the car and just simply travel and just see the world, man. Like, am I the only one who simply just wants to see life and experience life and not be caught up in this rat race for the rest of my life? You know, we pay bills, we pay taxes, and we work hard, and we bust our behinds for these jobs, but it's like, is that it? We just work, pay bills, pay taxes, work, pay bills, pay taxes, sit in traffic. Is that it? Is this all there is to life? I can't be the only one who sits back and wonders sometimes, like, this is not, like, this can't be real life. Like, it's no way. We were sold a lie. The American dream is a lie. It is no way it should be this difficult to survive in the land of the free and the home of the brave. This is incredible to me. I don't understand. So sometimes I think, man, I just want to quit, hop in the car or hop in the minivan or something and just travel. Like, I mean, life is going to pass us by anyway. What do we got to lose? And I'm not saying let's just have a mass walkout at our jobs. I mean, if it happens, it is what it is. But it's just like, there has to be something more than this, right? It can't just be work, pay bills, pay taxes, right?
So this happened to me when I graduated college and I was 23 years old, I believe, 24, somewhere around there. And I'll tell you what, guys, I've told this story before on the channel, but I thought I had my life set up. Like, when I was in high school, senior year, I knew I wanted to get like a good paying job. And so I was like, all right, I'm going to work my ass off to get a job that pays well. I was good with numbers, good with math, always been pretty, mathematically inclined. So I said, what's a job that requires math? Like, I enjoy it. I like numbers. At that time, it was engineering. Like, I liked the idea of like taking stuff apart, putting it back together. I didn't really know what the hell engineers did, to be honest. I just knew they made good money, and I was like, I'll do whatever work I need to do to get the degree. I'll make it happen. And I did it. I did. Now, the more I went through college, the more I was like, the longer I went through it, I was like, crap, this isn't the most fun work, but hey, if it's gonna, pay my bills and let me have a good life, then whatever, I'll do it. I just kind of like brushed it under the rug through college. But then, like, as I graduated and I got into the corporate world, oh my gosh, guys, major depression hit me. Because I remember sitting in my cubicle being like, what in the hell? I have my next 40 years of life doing this? No way. No way. I couldn't do it. Like, I had to have a way out. So what I would do is, I remember, like, so back then my wife was working nights at the time, and every time she'd work nights, I had the evenings to myself, and this was pre-kids. So I would literally drive to Barnes and Noble because I didn't want to spend the money to buy books. So I would literally just drive to Barnes and Noble, and I would literally sit there and read all night, different books. I would like have books, and I'd put like a bookmark in there, and I'd set it in the back or like towards the middle, and I'd grab it, find my bookmark when I'd go back the next couple nights. And I would just learn, guys. Like, I learned and taught myself as much as I could about how money worked, how to invest, how to budget, how to make money grow, how to take, calculated risk, investing in real estate, investing in the stock market. And it all kind of just piled together. And then, fast forward to where I am now. It took a lot of time and effort to get to this point, but I do want to say that it can happen, but it definitely is harder now than it was back in, even just 5 or what would that have been? Yeah, even just 10 years ago. Like, it's harder now because it's so like astronomically higher and more expensive for everything across the board. The reason I wanted to do this video is because I want to say like it is possible to get ahead, but it takes a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hustle to get ahead now. Like if you got a 9 to 5, try to figure out a way to make some money online. There's so many ways, guys, that you can be making an extra. What would an extra $1,000 do to you every month? Be pretty huge, wouldn't it? Extra $1,000. Totally possible to do that online. There's so many ways. Start a side hustle. That's another way to like help throughout this process that we're living in currently. And I don't think it's gonna go on forever. I don't. We're gonna have a pullback. Something's gonna happen. I don't know what, but I hate to say like the bubble's gonna pop, but there will be a time where a recession will hit or stuff's gonna slowly start slowing down. Everyone's gonna start pulling back because you can only live so long on credit cards and barely scraping by, and something's gonna happen. So you need to be prepared when that does happen. All right, let's look at this one. What $50 gets you at the supermarket in 2024?
Take a long hard look, because this is what $50 gets you at Kohl's. $50 for 6 items. It's just ridiculous. I mean, it's highway robbery. I don't know who they think they're fooling. This is insane. $50 for strawberries, milk, caramel, peanut butter, bread, and dumplings. $50. This won't even last me 1 week. This wasn't even all my
Yo, that'd last me like a day. Oh my gosh.
groceries for the week. This was just stuff that ran out that I needed to refill. What a joke. What an actual joke.
Okay. All right, so like, don't get me wrong, groceries, I get it. They're expensive. $50 for bread, peanut butter, caramel, milk, frozen strawberries, and barbecue pork dumplings. Everyone I talk to, like if money or something gets brought up, I will say the one thing everyone brings up is how expensive groceries are. It is crazy how much we're spending every single time we go to the grocery store. Wife's at Costco right now, getting some food for tonight and the next couple days. Like, not even nothing crazy. She'll spend $300. $300 every time we go into Costco. At least $300. It's like a rule. It's like, hey, you can't come in here unless you're going to spend over $300. How much longer can this last? And how much longer can people survive until you see all of us freaking out at the pond catching fish because that's what we're having for dinner that night? Screw going to the grocery store. Let's just go back to old-fashioned catching rainwater and fishing out in the local pond. Holy cannoli.
How are people affording life right now? How are people tackling this cost of living on the average American salary? I just watched a TikTok of
I literally just said it. Like, how I want to know how long this is going to last though. Because is this the silent depression that people are saying it is? Like, when is things finally going to start breaking? Are banks going to collapse first because people aren't making payments, aren't making their loan payments? I just feel like it's there. Don't you? Like, I feel like something is coming. I want to know when is it all going to just come crashing down, or are we slowly going to see things progress back to normal? Let me know what you think. I think something bad's going to happen. I really do. Something has to pop.
a teacher who makes a teacher's salary. I don't know what state she's in, so I don't know how much she makes, but her 1-bedroom apartment is $2,000. And when she spends $2,000 on that 1-bedroom apartment, it doesn't even come with a washer and dryer. So she has to go pay an additional $2 every time she wants to use their washer and dryer. Okay, how does that leave her any extra money to spend? And then she said she had a $400 car payment, which some people were bashing her on that. But in today's economy with interest rates, that's really not that bad. And I'm sure she needs a dependable car.
You guys know how I think about car payments. I don't drive a beater until you can afford something a little better. I won't change my mind on that. But also, $2,000, what'd she say the teacher was doing? $2,000 in rent. She has to be living somewhere expensive, I would guess, because that's a lot for a 1-bedroom apartment. Holy crap.
So you talk about teacher's salary, $2,000 in rent, $400 car payment, you got insurance, you got groceries, electricity. I don't understand how people are affording life right now, and it really makes me sad for some people. You have people who are like her. She's single, she has her own salary, or families where it just works out best for them for the mother to stay home. And if the father is just making an average American salary, how are they affording life without going in a bunch of debt? This lady who's a teacher started crying because she said she realizes on her salary and where she lives.
Hang on. There's a key thing she said there, right? And I think that's why the consumer is so healthy right now. Like if you listen to CNBC or any type of news outlet that's talking about the economy right now, everyone is saying how healthy the consumer is. But she just said something that a lot of people say. How can she sustain her life without going into major debt? Is that what everyone's doing right now? Is everyone just kind of saying, hey, we're going to make it, we're going to get by. It's tough times right now, but let's just go live off credit cards for the next year or two until stuff starts coming down in price. What if prices don't come down for another 3 years? Can people make it that long? I don't think so. I think something has to change. But what's going to be first? I don't know. We'll find out, and when it happens, I'll probably be talking about it.
She will actually end up in more debt. Then, like, she will just continue to accrue more debt and more debt and more debt because her salary is not matching the cost of living. And what's sad is I've seen people be like, just spend less. Listen, guys, the cost of living is rising and our salaries are stagnant, okay? So there's not just spend less. That's not the problem here. The problem is the cost of living is outrageous, and minimum wage in some states is still $7.25. Teachers in some states are still paid a ridiculously low salary, even though their job is super important. I don't know what we can do about this, but I'm just going on a rant because it really, really pisses me off.
The salary you need to...
I get it. I do. And I am. I'm one of those guys that says spend less, but that's what you have to do. Like when our grandparents or when our great-grandparents were going through the Great Depression, like I guarantee you they probably weren't going out and getting a car loan. Hell, half of them probably didn't even freaking drive. When we live in tough times, you gotta roll with the punches. I'm sorry, but there's no free handout. Whatever happens to you is up to you. Like, trust me, guys, I'm with you on, like, shit's getting too expensive. It's getting out of hand. It is. But you have to figure out a way to adjust.
The salary you need to make today to live like your parents did 40 years ago, making $30K a year, is totally depressing. In a TikTok video, financial expert Robert Gill explained that, adjusted for inflation, please sit down and have your emotional support person on standby before proceeding, you'd have to make $162,342 to have the same purchasing power. Now, it's important to understand that
Yo, that's nuts. That is nuts. $162,000 to match $30,000 of spending power? What? Or salary? No, I'm not like, I haven't checked these numbers or anything, so I don't know if that's exactly correct. I don't know. But that's whenever I feel for our generation, us millennials and then the Gen Zers, like, yo, that is when we are getting kicked in the nuts.
inflation isn't just the prices of things going up. It's also the broader price increases across sectors, industries, and ultimately an entire country's economy in general. So it's not just that, say, housing prices are up since 1983. A dollar is actually worth less than it was previously. This is why we're all feeling the pinch, and also why our parents don't seem to get it. Boomers telling us to work hard.
Real quick, guys. This is one reason why it's so important to invest your money. And I know people would be like, well, how can we invest money when we can't afford to live? Well, again, that's when it comes to handling finances correctly. Budgeting, increasing income, whatever it takes to, starting a side hustle, really cutting back on expenses, whatever it takes to get to a point where you can start investing. Because when you invest, what happens is the dollar sucks, guys. Like when you just sit on cash, like it's probably the worst thing you can do financially. But when you have your money in assets, like rental properties, the stock market, like look what's going on with all that stuff. Like as prices and everything are increasing, I get that cost of living, but so is all of these assets. So if you can get yourself to invest, even if it's starting with like $10 a month, at least having some sort of nest egg once you get your finances in order, like that's the good part about inflation, I guess, is that No, inflation sucks. I'm not gonna lie. But whenever inflation does happen, you have a hedge against inflation when you have other assets that is not cash. Now, sitting on cash, I also sit on some cash too. But having those assets grow in value as inflation grows, like, it helps out. It does. It just takes time and effort to get to a point to do that.
Isn't going to suddenly make our dollars worth
And a lot of sacrifice.
more, which led several commenters to ask Gil the question probably on everyone's mind. Does inflation ever really go down? His response, it hasn't in the last 40 years. And this of course means that as the value of our money continues to decrease, the amount of money needed to live a stable life will continue to increase. And unless we do something, like say reining in corporate power by having reasonable corporate tax rates like the ones we had even during the beloved Reagan era, for instance, a comfortable life on a normal salary will become more and more unattainable to us average folks.
I'll say this and I'll say it again. I've spoke my piece on, spending less, earning more. But when it comes to our taxes and our government, that is a major, major issue. Guys, the reason we are seeing and living through the tough times we're living through right now is because of the amount of money our government printed out of thin air and shoved it into our economy to help keep the economy afloat during COVID, when we thought the whole world was ending. That is why we are seeing these times. For those of you that are out there that are like, oh, socialism is the way to go, that's the only way we can all survive. Guys, what happened during COVID when we got our stimulus checks? That's a form of socialism. That's getting handouts from the government. What is it doing? The proof is in the pudding, guys. The government cannot hand out tax dollars to us and cannot hand out printed money and say, all right, here you go, guys. Here's free money. Let's see what happens. What do you think? Everything will skyrocket. Look at Venezuela. Socialism country. How's that working for them? Not good. You can't have a system like that. You can't. Hopefully stuff gets cheaper soon. But until the next video, thank you guys so much for watching. Cheers.